Yeah, so apparently I've been living a bit of a lie, which was pointed out to me by a person that actually knew me a lot better. I've already gone down to the division of INFJs, the special branch. It's because it's so rare, it's kind of hard to find. But I had a talk, and I mentioned to the CEO of Real INFJs out there that I've been ratted out by an individual, a random individual, and that I'm not an authentic real INFJ. I don't fit all the real stereotypes of an INFJ. He was, of course, dismayed. Apparently I had them all filled. He mentioned of how chameleon-like I can be, and he found it quite rude and mean. So he's asked me to turn in my INFJ gun and badge. But like true 80s missions, I may have done that, but I'm still on the job. And so yeah, unfortunately I've got to be an INFJ a little bit longer without the real title. And I got to bring in my man. But yeah, nah, all that sort of stuff is the definition of what a real INFJ is. I'd like to know what it is. what actually fits the stereotype of being a real INFJ, because a part of being a human and part of human experiences is that your background and how you formed emotionally will actually probably influence your MBTI. And I'm not sort of saying that trauma would determine it being an INFJ. What I'm saying is that with those MBTI tests, which are based on Carl Jung's psychology, not Carl Jung himself, that if you've had certain background experiences, then it's going to affect your interaction with the world. To be controversial, like say for example, even a narcissist would have an MBTI type if they somehow sat down and did the test, because it's not an MBTI is not a medical diagnosis. It's just how you perceive the world, your cognitive preferences. Nor is it how it should be how you define yourself. Like as I said, it's just a way of understanding myself. It's not how I go about and shake people's hands and go, "Hi, I'm a fake INFJ." Well, I've still got to bring in my man, and then I can get my badge and honour back. And but like say for example, like the test that I did had a bit of a percentage ranking of like how high or low, like for like 100%, 0%. That's what I mean by high and low. But even on a percentage, like say if we took that, do you have to be 100% in all of it to qualify as 100% INFJ, or do you just need to have certain aspects of yourself to actually be qualified as a fully fledged real INFJ that's out there patrolling the streets, doing psychology on everyone, and lifting rocks using Jedi powers? But how your background will actually influence, like say for example, it's like the extroverted feeling. You could have trust issues, or where it could play out two ways, where it's like you're hypersensitive to things or hypervigilant to things, where you sponge up the emotions a bit too much when you walk into a room because it's like you're perceiving a bit of a danger in there when there might be not danger. Or it could be the other end, where it's like you could have extroverted feeling in your function stack, no matter if you're INFJ or not, and be quite emotionally repressed, and not really extrovert any feelings sort of thing. It's more about the self. Like once again, does that make you a real this or that? And it's actually hard to actually have a real anything. Like happiness, for example, is an experience, it's an emotion, but like it's not anything real, it's not tangible. It's like you can buy things or go on experiences that elicit happiness, but it's not real by itself. It's just something that comes and goes in the body, sort of thing. So how do you actually attach any realness to that? And does anyone have the trademark or or ownership of a happiness in that? Because it's something that we all experience, and similar to the percentage, will probably be very happy people all the time, or very not happy people will just have happy moments, sort of thing, in and out. Because I mean, I don't think I've really said on any of my videos that are INFJ related that, hi, I'm Dion and I need validation on whether I'm an INFJ or not. I don't think I've ever sort of said that, because I sort of know of myself pretty well. But anyone that sort of sees someone that is doing well for themselves, or is feeling confident in themselves, or is expressing themselves, and whether that gets reciprocated, or if there's likes or views or whatever sort of thing. And this can be in any aspect, not just related to me. When everyone's doing well, I mean, even in Australia, we have this saying, it's not a condition, but it's called tall poppy syndrome, sort of thing, where if someone's doing well for themselves, someone's got to come along and cut them down to size, sort of thing, because it's a poor reflection on themselves, because there's a lot of insecurities that get reflected upon when someone does well. It's like someone is achieving well, so therefore like to be seen and to be heard and to be validated, which probably goes back to childhood trauma, that, you know, I need to cut this person down so I can feel good about myself, which kind of shows that there might be a bit of a hole in the identity, where it's leaking, and it needs that validation, it needs that attention, it needs that sense of authority over someone else to command them to basically cease and desist being themselves. Which I'm above the law on that. I'm acting without a gun and badge at the moment. But yeah, there's that part where it's like, and I've experienced it in other parts of my life. And I mean, I've even had labels, as I've said many a time, by the medical community that also weren't the real label of myself. I've had schizophrenia diagnosed by a psychiatrist, got treated for many years, a lot of medication, and same psychiatrist said, oh no, it's CPTSD, and that's someone medical. Now you think, okay, well, that's hard to prove. In the epilepsy, absence seizures, which turned out to be disassociation, proven by an EEG. This time we've got a medical device printing out the readings, and someone with a neurological or neuroscience, whatever, some label, that read it out and said, yeah, no, you don't have epilepsy, dissociation, CPTSD once again. So there's even, like, on a professional medical, if we're talking professional, where that can be a massive screw up that sees you on medication and tries to control your life. And everything with the INFJ stuff, it's like, it was probably the first thing that, why I say understands myself, like, because there was always those parts where psychology was lacking, like traditional psychology was lacking in defining myself, that once I came across the MBTI, and I did the test and it said INFJ, it's like, and I started looking into it, it's like, oh crap, well, this kind of makes sense. But like, for example, like when I got diagnosed with schizophrenia way back in the day, because my old psychiatrist read out the report, and see if, I can't qualify as a real INFJ, but see if there's real INFJs in the audience, see if you can at least resonate in some way to this fake INFJ's background. But the psychiatrist read out the report when he re-diagnosed me with CPTSD, and like it was saying that, and I do remember actually saying this back in the day, was that I believed that I was an alien from a different planet, and like I just didn't want to be part of this world anymore, and I wanted to basically go back to my planet. And yeah, and it's like I didn't really have a good view of humanity. Now, that's one of the things, well, one of the main things that the psychiatrist said that led to my diagnosis as a schizophrenic, or which then changed once again to schizoaffective. So even my labels were changing. So the diagnosis was based upon me thinking I was an alien in a different world. Where have you heard that before, real INFJs? Now, of course, I didn't think I was an actual alien. I know I'm from planet Earth. But when you do look at that, how that diagnosis was misinterpreted, was misunderstood, which the real INFJs kind of feel misunderstood sometimes, is that once again, I didn't think I was an alien from a different planet sort of thing. You could look at that as like, I felt like I didn't fit in with the people that I was around, this humanity that I was in. And this was back when I was like probably early 20s. I didn't feel like I fitted in. I felt like an alien. I felt foreign. Kind of like if you go to a foreign country, you're an alien in a different country sort of thing. It's like the language is foreign, but for me, I couldn't quite identify with those around me. And yeah, it's like if I had a home world, somewhere I could escape to, somewhere I could be me for once, where I'd be accepted, then that would actually feel like home. And that's what actually that misdiagnosis was. No, Dion thinks he's an alien from a different world sort of thing. He's having those sort of like alien, and once again, I've worked in mental health for about 10 years. And yeah, it's like it's either aliens or insects have given them the schizophrenia or whatever sort of thing. But in my case, it's like I didn't feel accepted. I didn't feel understood, and I wanted to go to where I was understood. And in my creative brain, it was an alien world. So that's what actually led to my diagnosis of schizophrenia, which then changed to schizoaffective and depression and all these sorts of things. So even under the clinical professional world, they'll get it wrong. That's where it's understanding the person, not looking at one video and going, well, he's not a real INFJ. I've been around many real INFJs and they all fit this particular stereotype. But anyone that, once again, it goes back to those boundary videos and even the tapping that I did on narcissism. Not that I'm diagnosing anything, I can't diagnose, I'm not a psychiatrist. But where I did sort of say like, where anyone's trying to cut down your identity or give helpful unsolicited advice of like, this is what you need to stop doing because it's either getting close to the nerve of my own insecurities or my own jealousies or my own fears, and you need to stop that. But I'll give no actual input on actually how to improve your life. I'll actually give you more toxic input of like how much of a failure you actually are. If anything, it's being I think it's been more of an affirmation for myself that I'm on the right path, that I am speaking my truth, that I am who I am, and I see no reason to change a behavior that is actually doing myself well, and from what I can see, doing other people well. And yeah, so if there's no better advice apart from, you know, toxicity, then till the next INFJ chat. So I'm Dion from Eflowtion Support Services, and I'll see you in the next INFJ chat. I've got to go back now and tell the boss that I've done my job and I can get my validation and my my gun and badge back and get back on the INFJ force. And I also linked to actually another INFJ that I've been watching for quite some time, who also sort of speaks upon this topic of, I think he calls it the type police. So yeah, they're on the force as well. Anyway, I'll see you later.